Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing today?
What's happening?
Rob's awfully quiet, huh?
Sorry, I had to mute my audio real quick because the Facebook stream, I forgot to unmute, and I didn't want like two different things going at the same time.
Sure.
It's
What
the
the
little
hell is
things.
So you're here? You ready?
I can hear now.
Excellent. Well, hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Steve Teresi, the Director of Training and Technical Services here at JL Audio. I am at the main headquarters right now, and today with me I have Mr. Rob Haynes joining from Southern California. Please say hello, Rob.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Fantastic. And the man of the hour is Mr. Kevin Ferry from the greater Pittsburgh area up in Pennsylvania, where it's probably a little colder there than it is here. Say hello, Kev.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. So it's interesting because, you know, where I'm at, I'm looking outside, I got beautiful weather. So marine season's in full effect. And Rob, I think you have ups and downs, but it's kind of marine season for you too. Kevin, on the other hand,
Overcast,
have aspirations for the marine season to start up again, get down on that lake again, right?
Yeah, it's we got a few months before we can get out on the lake. I think it's actually still frozen. At least the snow has melted here, but I think the lake is still pretty frozen right now.
But you know what? There's no better time to get ready for marine season, really. You know, you got nothing else to do, right? So, Kevin, why don't you start sharing your screen? We'll jump right into our Marine Amplifier line.
All righty, we good, Rob?
We should be. I don't know why. There we go. I think I kicked your share stream out of the studio.
I gotcha.
But we're good now.
All right, we're good now. All right, so today, in preparation of getting the boats out or your vessels out or anything like that, we're actually going to go over and do a full overview of the Marine Amplifier lineup. So we're going to actually start off with discussing how the Marine Amplifiers all of our amplifiers are actually engineered in the United States. We're going to go over some of the key marine amplifier technologies. We're going to go over the entire lineup and just touch on a few of the cool features of the amplifiers, and then end with kind of any questions that you guys have on the amplifier lineups or any specific system design layouts or kind of thoughts that you guys have for upcoming boats that you're going to be working on or listening to. So as many of you probably know, JL Audio is based in Miramar, Florida, and we mainly only show that building because, well, our production and a majority of everything else happens at the mothership down there. Well, I wanted to give our guys in Phoenix some love on this training because it's been a while since we've actually showed those guys off some. And all of our electrical engineering is actually based in Phoenix, Arizona. And the picture that you see here is our location down there. So I wanted to give them some love today. And like I said, all of the
palm trees, I guess, huh, Kevin?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not
palm
trees. And all of the JL Audio electronics, such as Media Master, Bluetooth, and DSP products, are all engineered and designed in our Phoenix location. So kind of gives you the idea of what our second mainstay is there. Now, our third office in Portland, Oregon, that actually houses our DSP team, is responsible for all of our software and firmware design and testing for Media Master, our Bluetooth products, and all of our DSP products also. And that location has actually grown exponentially over the past couple of years there. They've moved into a larger location here in the past year and really, really have done a lot of expanding there.
In that office, when we first started the Portland branch, there were two guys in there, and it was already closing in on them. And then we added a third guy. It closed in even more, and then they added 8 more people into that building before they found larger real estate for them.
Yeah, they were tight in there for a while. I remember doing video calls and seeing like 3 people all in the background there. So now they've got a much more spread out place there. But as fast as they're growing, probably going to need a bigger one here pretty soon too. So this is a pretty cool thing for us too, the ATE, sorry. And this is one of our many custom machines that we have for both diagnosing electronics, but also testing new products out. all of the JL Audio Marine amplifiers are actually QC checked on these machines prior to even getting a serial number. So it's pretty cool that we go through and we do check every single amplifier to make sure it's working properly prior to it ever getting a serial number and getting packaged up and sent out. So it is 100% QC check there. Now, when we want to go ahead and talk about our engineering focus in there, we actually have more engineers than we do have training, tech support, marketing, sales, customer service, all of those departments combined. And over 500 years of electrical and DSP engineering. We actually even have a doctor on board, Dr. Stephen Lee there, who runs those guys down there. So it's pretty cool the amount of knowledge that they have going on down there. And when we go ahead and when these guys are working and doing engineering, we're not just thinking about what we're building today or what we're engineering today. A lot of times they engineer these cool technologies and they put them on the shelf for a little while. And they come up and they say, hey, wait a minute, I have a widget that's going to go ahead and work really cool with that. And then they can go ahead and implement that process in. So we do a lot of cool things, not only down there, but even in Miramar too. And I think it's Rob who actually refers to it as manu packaging, or is that what it is, Rob?
Yeah, that term's been around for a while, yeah. Rob can't claim credit on that one. He does use it.
And I laugh every time he says it, but and the reference is really for companies that just go ahead and spec out a product. Like I want a white 500 watt amplifier and someone builds it. But since we don't do that, and we do go ahead and engineer all of these cool technologies on our own, we like to put patents on them. And we actually have over 40 different patents in loudspeakers and electronic technologies. So we really make sure that we protect those efforts in our engineering department.
Quick disclaimer, not that there's anything wrong with a company that goes to a supplier and picks various parts to build their component. That is a business model. It allows you to realistically, build products that hit a specific price point. And usually that'd be at a lower tier price. I think with JL Audio, we take a lot of pride in being a premium brand, and that means we're going to do it ourselves. But if you're a company, maybe you're starting out or you're aiming for a specific type of customer, there is nothing wrong with that. So I just want to make that clear. We joke about it, but it is a viable business model. That's an important model for our business. That's just not how we do things at JL Audio.
Right on. Thanks for sharing that, Rob. I felt the same way that, there are companies that are successful at, specking out what product that they want and go to market with it, and they do quite well. It's just not what we're doing. We're trying to re-engineer the wheel sometimes. And, I think that the products that we offer kind of show that additional effort. Maybe not every single time, but as you start looking at the whole product line, you start realizing that we kind of do it a little bit different. And I think that's what Kevin was really focused on there.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into some of these cool technologies here. I'm not going to cover every single technology for all of the amplifiers, but I definitely wanted to touch on a few of them for you guys, and mainly stick here with the Marine amplifiers. We're going to start off with RIPS, and RIPS stands for Regulated Intelligent Power Supply, and this can be found on the MHD Marine amplifiers. And it's a really cool technology. Most amplifiers available have an unregulated power supply, which basically means the output will fluctuate depending on what voltage the amplifier is seeing from the electrical system. For instance, the output coming out of the amplifier at 14.4 volts is going to have a little bit more wattage than if the vessel's electrical system was putting out 12.5 volts. So you might see that drop between that different input voltage. With RIPS, the power supply actually adjusts its operation to maintain that rated power and keeps it a very low distortion operation over a wide range of voltages, actually 11 volts to 14.5. Also, it will maintain that rated power from about 1.5 ohms to a 4 ohm speaker load on there. So you can have multiple nominal impedances from your speakers shown on the amplifier, and it will continue to put out that same rated power without having variation on it. By not allowing the rail voltages to sag and in proportion to what the input is coming into the amplifier, the RIPS really ensures just a great, stable sounding output. Now, this technology is not cheap, as there's actually multiple rails that automatically switch depending on what the amplifier is being presented with. And the other thing with it is that you do have to make sure that you have ample supply voltage to come into it too. So just a couple things to keep in mind with it. It's great for output, but you need to make sure that you have the input voltage sustainable on there too. So our next D switching technology is another great technology from our amazing electrical engineering team. Next D amplifier switching frequencies about 4 times higher than most other Class D subwoofer amplifiers. And this really pushes the bandwidth of the amplifier up past that 500 hertz range. Really minimal distortion, a lot greater improved efficiency with it. And then when we take a look at the full range amplifiers, they're well over that 400 kilohertz switching frequency on there. Again, making it really high so you have a really nice, smooth sound across the board, very efficient amplifiers on there. And along with that, they actually monitor the input signal to the power supply voltage and helps cancel out any distortion due to fluctuation from the supply power that's coming in from the vessel. So if you don't have a good stable supply voltage, a lot of times that can get really dirty. This will help mediate some of that on there for you too. And it really just gives those Next D equipped Class D amplifiers just a greater efficiency, but also a higher fidelity compared to the ones that don't. And then when we take a look at Next D2, it really takes it to a new level using a next generation power supply output devices, which are incredibly compact and surface mountable. And that smaller package really improves the carrying capability, efficiency, and they're also encased in metal. And that really helps with heat dissipation, but it also minimizes actually the radiated noise that can come out of those amplifiers too. So they really encased. If you ever had an amplifier that was really close, and it has happened with really older amplifiers, that was close to the antenna of the vehicle, you might get some radiated noise into the system. And these will really help keep that or minimize that from happening. And then we also use the onboard DSP in the MVI amplifiers to act as a master clock to go ahead and sync all of the channels, and that really helps eliminate any undesirable interactions that may cause by variations in the switching frequency between those different channels on there too. So that master clock just goes ahead and controls all of the channels in the amplifier to make sure that everything is in sync, and it really just makes it that really nice, clean, efficient output on there. Advanced rollback protection. And when we talk about the protection, that's when you're really getting on a system. I mean, really getting on a system. So this would be about
really getting on it.
4 hours or so plus at the sandbar hanging out, and you've had a few that you've kicked back and you got your 3 dB per beer roll there and all of that good stuff. And the advanced rollback protection is really cool because it actually rolls back only the peak power output if the amplifier reaches that unsafe operating temperature. And by only rolling back that peak power output, not changing the actual gain of the amplifier is going to cool down. And in most cases, this protection is going to be inaudible because, again, it's just rolling back that peak output there. Now, once the amplifier is back to the safe operating temperature, the circuit's going to restore to full peak power, and advanced rollback protection ensures honestly that your music's just going to keep on playing even under those most demanding conditions. You're out there, you're in Havasu where it's really just hot, and you're having a good time and you're getting louder and louder throughout the day. This is going to make sure that you're going to keep rolling throughout the afternoon into the evening.
Just to be clear, the alternative is the amp turns off, which that's just terrible. You don't ever want that. So the advanced rollback, for me, the biggest benefit is your music keeps playing, period. So whatever's happening in the background, that's all wonderful for tech people like myself. But as a consumer or as a retailer, you can with confidence put this product on a boat and know that with advanced rollback protection, unless you've done something really insane, it's simply going to roll back power to the point that the customer's not even going to notice that it's rolled back. Again, the 3 dB per beer rule tends to kick in. In fact, it's on. That's wonderful. If they're turned off, you know they're going to come back, and you might have an amplifier-sized hole in the window of the store. And we don't do that ever. So advanced rollback is one of those core technologies that you'll find throughout the majority of the JL Audio amplifiers, because we realize how vital that is. So like, Kevin sharing with us, that does exist on a number of the products.
What I love what you said there, Steve, was when advanced rollback kicks in, it's hardly detectable because it's attenuating the peak power. I remember way back in the day, this is pre-2010, having some amplifiers in my car. And when they would overheat, they would initiate some kind of rollback as well. But it was ridiculously noticeable where you lost almost half of your overall output. And it didn't revert back to full power until you cycled the power to the amplifiers. With advanced rollback, it'll roll back full power, roll back again if needed. So it could be consistently kicking on and off. And especially in a loud environment like out on the lake or on the ocean, you're probably not even going to notice that. And I think that part for me is the cool factor, that you don't notice it and it'll revert back to full power automatically and not have to be power cycled.
The beautiful thing.
No shutdowns is the big thing. You don't want to be out on the pontoon boat with 20 of your closest friends and not have the party going anymore, right? All right, so let's get into the amplifiers themselves. We're going to start off with the MHD amplifier line. And this has 3 main channel configurations, 604, 750 by 1, and a 900 by 5. And the 150 watts by 4 on the 600/4 is one of the more powerful full range amplifiers in the Marine lineup. So if you are looking for that really, really stout amplifier, it's a great one to go to. And the MHD is the only line of JL Audio amplifiers in the Marine lineup that utilize that regulated intelligent power supply or that RIPS technology. So keep that in mind. But just a very, very stout lineup across the board on them. When we take a look at the amplifiers, the MHD are extremely well laid out. When we take a look along the top side of the amplifier, we have all of our controls there, and they have variable filter frequencies and slopes that you can go ahead and select the different slopes on there to really help dial the system in. And then when you're finished getting everything set up and dialed in, you want to make sure to go ahead and install that supplied gasket cover for those connections on there too. And when you take a look at the, this one's the 5-channel there, you have your infrasonic filter for subwoofers, low pass filters, and then you have your high pass filters for all of your main channels on there too. You have different input modes. So whether you're using 2 or 4 channel or even 6 channel for zone capabilities on there, you can go ahead and make your selections on there too. So a lot of nice, easy laid out technologies on there. And when that amplifier is mounted, depending on how it's laid out, having those nice at the top makes it nice and easy to get to and very, very easy to go ahead and adjust. And on the other side,
my favorite amp in the MHD line is a 905. It's I know this sounds crazy, but for like a modest system, nothing over the top, a single amplifier like this wired up to drive 4 or 6 or even 8 main speakers, and they have quite a bit of power for the sub as well. It's easy to get into a vessel, like Kevin was just describing. All your connections come down one side, and you have all your controls up on the top. It's easy to get to. It's small, compact. It's a great single amp system. You could always go crazy and start adding a bunch of them, but I like this for like a modest boat, something not too big, not too small. That would be one of my go-tos, provided I could feed the beast.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because like you said, it's a great amplifier to get started on, and you can actually set it up, like you said, with 4, 6, 8 speakers, and you can have the input set up to where you have separate control over 2 different zones plus a subwoofer on there too. So you can help balance things out, or if you want to turn a zone down on there, you can do that separately, as long as your Media Master or whatever you're using to control it has those capabilities.
Exactly.
So on the other side of this is all of your connections, like Steve said, and having all of the connections on one side is imperative, and I can't even give a hard enough exclamation mark on that is imperative on Marine amplifiers. When installed, make sure the connections are facing down and that the wires have a little bit of a drip loop on there, and that will really help keep the elements out of the amplifier. If something happens to get wet in that area or sprayed in that area, the water can come down the wires and just drip off of that drip loop. If you have the amplifier facing with the connections coming down and things get sprayed on there, and then you're going to have water sitting on that top side of the amplifier where your power connections and all of that stuff are, and that's not a good thing. So having them all on one side is very, very important on Marine amplifiers, and then mounting them face down is also important. You want to try to do that as much as possible. I understand there may be some installations where you have to maybe mount them flat or something like that, but for the most part, try to mount them vertical and with your connections facing down. And the separate plugins really help those connections and help make installation a lot easier. I always enjoy this. I'm an installer guy out of the group of us, and holding up an amplifier that you've got heavy gauge wire to and trying to hold the screw on the gun, and also, hold the gun itself isn't easy. You always need a third hand when you're doing that kind of stuff. So being able to have these connections off, make it nice and easy to maneuver around, get the amplifier mounted, and then go ahead and make your connections. And there's other things if you think about it. If this amplifier is really, really tucked away in a spot that's really, really tight, getting an Allen key in there may be a little bit difficult too. So you can make all of your connections on those connectors and then just go ahead and plug them in. And it's going to make life a lot easier by doing so. So when we take a quick overview of the MHD amplifiers, you have your RIPS, a regulated intelligent power supply. And that's really what gives us that consistent, really, really clean output. The white and gray powder coated finish looks really good, but it's also very, very protective of the amplifier too, along with the gasket covers for the controls, stainless steel hardware, all really help with this amplifier that we know is going to be out there in those marine harsher environments out there. The Real Sync cast alloy fans really will help keep the amplifier playing cool and reliable on there. And these are also ignition protected, which means that anything that can spark is actually enclosed in the amplifier to keep that spark from being out in the open air,
so
which is more than just a spark. What's that?
It keeps it from being something more than just a spark.
Yeah, you're right. I was trying to think of a light way to say that. So, and there are 24-volt bottles that are available on these too. Now, we're going to actually jump into the MX series of amplifiers. They consist of 2 mono amplifiers and 2 4-channel amplifiers that were really designed to work really, really well with one another and give you a nice balanced output. So they're really matched up power-wise between those 2 monos and those 2 4-channels on there. For me, the cool model is the 3-channel, which is just a really, really neat little amplifier, 75 watts by 2 and 400 watts by 1 in this nice little compact chassis. It works great for putting on a set of full-range speakers and a subwoofer on a small, whatever you really want to. I know kayaks are starting to become a big thing, jet skis. I mean, really whatever you want to get into with these, you can, because they are nice and compact. And the power out of them is just amazing for the size.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these on the little kayaks for fishing out on the river or in the bays, and little, kind of weird because, you're pretty much powering your vessel with your arms, but you still see a little battery with MX amp and some speakers, and that's a cool little way to do it.
And a little fish finder. Like these kayaks have come so far in the last couple of years. So the MX series is the only series in the lineup that is IPX7 certified. However, you do need to make sure that you install the bottom cover. As you can see here, it helps conceal the controls. None of the elements can get in through that bottom plate there. So you want to make sure that you have that installed.
Yeah, that plate's important. These are IPX6 rated amplifiers, and I did post actually in the chat right now an article that explains what IPX6 rated means, but essentially they're weatherproof to an extent. They can take heavy spray from a hose nozzle, be exposed to rain, but you have to put that cover on. And I remember when we first came out with the original versions of these, when they were HX and MHX, I remember seeing a complaint, oh, these aren't waterproof. I sent one back that had all kinds of damage, and we opened it up and the inside was all rusted and corroded. And that was because they did not put that watertight cover back on it. They left the bottom exposed. And if that's exposed, it's not IPX6 rated anymore because there's openings and gaps and switches and all sorts of stuff for the moisture to get in.
What's that, Steve?
I said it's more like an IPX1 or something along those lines.
It's that, yeah.
So I remember one of our guys in our Phoenix location in service, we were talking exactly what Rob was just sharing. And he was showing me some of these MX amplifiers that had come back, all of them without the bottom panel, of course. And one of them had mud caked in there. You couldn't even see the circuit board. It was so much like mucky, wet mud stuff still inside the amplifier. And of course, it was sent in under manufacturer's defect. So think about that.
Rob, you there?
I'm here.
Did we lose Steve?
Nope, Steve's here.
I'm here.
Okay, for some reason my audio cut out from you there. So sorry about that. All right, so when we take a look at the options on here, you have your high pass filter, low pass filter. It's a variable that you're able to go and change your filter frequency on there, and you have your different input selections that you can go ahead and change on these too. So small, compact, good power, and still have a lot of flexibility with them also. Very, very important. The connections are all off to one of the sides of the amplifier. However, they are sealed on there. And again, these really work well in many different applications, not just marine, but power sports markets too. So motorcycles, side-by-sides, all of those good things. You can slap one of these guys or two of these guys on there too. And with that IPX7 certified rating, it really means that these amplifiers can be submerged up to 1 meter for 30 minutes of time there. So 3 feet for 30 minutes there. And that is where you, if you're under 3 feet for more than 30 minutes, you could have a problem, but you may have some other things that you're worrying about more than your amplifier.
So Brian Honeycutt mentioned another good application for these, and that's in a Yeti cooler for those cool, pun intended, cooler systems.
And again, these.
Unlike Sea-Doos and things like that, where you're going to go submarine for just a brief period of time and have to worry about these things going underwater because they are completely sealed when that bottom plate is on. So these are great for those applications. Compact form factor and completely submersible. That's a really good combination.
All righty, so let's hop into the M series. And for me, the M series, when we take a look at these guys, this is really the workhorse of the marine amplifier lineup. And it has just such a great selection of channel options on there. Subwoofer options, when we take a look, we have the M600/1, 2-channel full range amplifiers, 3-channel amplifiers, 5-channel, all the way up to 8-channel options on there. And when we get into these guys, to me personally, the M600/6 and the M800/8 are really great options when you're looking at building those larger multi-zone marine systems. You can have 3 full zones on there with separate zone control on the M600/6, or you can do 4 zones with that M800/8. A lot of other things that I see with these guys, along with some of the MVI amplifiers, is taking that M800/8 or that MV800/8i and bridging them to 4 channels off of the M6880s, and that's a really, really nice setup there too. So a lot of flexibility with them, a lot of different controls. and channel options with the M series amplifiers. And we take a look at the front panel on the M series. This is where you will find all of the adjustments for your input sensitivity, your filter adjustments, input mode. One of the nice things is the flexibility of the inputs. Again, you can run separate inputs for each individual zone, or you can just run 2 channels in without having to worry about any Y adapters by just having a flick of a switch there with your input mode adjustment there. Like the MHD, all of the connections are all on one side to allow for mounting them with all of the connections facing down, again, to just help keep the elements out of the amplifier. The wire connections are ABYC compliant compression connections on there, so it's not just a terminal where you're sticking a wire in there and a screw's coming in. They're actually clamped down like all of the connections that are on there. So very nice secure connections on there. It's going to keep everything clean, having them on that one side and enable you to have them mounted down, and that way your drip loop goes down there. Again, just make sure that you put the covers on the faces of them to help keep the any type of moisture or anything like that getting into the dials and all of that good stuff. These are also ignition protected, and we do have 24-volt models available in the M series amplifiers too.
2 things on the M for me real quick. I know my installers, when I was working in retail, loved working with these, because if you're mounting it like we tell you to, where the connections are all on the bottom, it makes it extremely easy once the amps are mounted to have access to your input sensitivity, your filter controls. Even in a larger vessel, sometimes these are tucked away down below in the bathroom or in a little storage compartment, and you're trying to get your whole body in this little kind of cubby area. And having large controls right on the front of the amplifier really makes it easy to make those adjustments when you need to get in there. And going back to that M800/8V2 you were talking about earlier, we talked about bridging it down, and you could do 4 zones. Remember, these are also 2 ohm stable, and I've seen guys put 16 speakers on that 8-channel amplifier by using 2 speakers per channel. So you have that flexibility as well. If you want a lot of speakers, but you don't have a ton of room for amplifiers, as long as you don't need, 16 different zones or something crazy like that, you can put up to 16 speakers on an 8-channel or up to 12 speakers on the 6-channel. So take advantage of those 2 ohm loads if you can, and get some more output with those speakers, and you don't need a lot of extra power or amplifiers to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, great point. So we're going to get into MVI now and step into to what I consider the go-to, especially if you're building a larger system that is going to have multi zones, and you're going to have different types of audio distribution going on and all of that good stuff, and zone controls, and maybe you need presets or anything like that. This really does have the flexibility to handle almost any of those types of systems in there. Now, MVI is not to be confused with VXI, as it was designed with marine systems in mind over car. It has more connectivity for signal routing that's more commonly used in those larger marine systems, and it has more inputs and more outputs for better zone control. Delay was also extended out to over 39 feet, which is quite a bit more than what the VXI is. However, the steps aren't as detailed. Instead of 0.02 of a millisecond, or they are 0.02 of a millisecond compared to 0.01 of a millisecond that we have on the VXI. So there are some pretty big differences with these guys between them, besides the obvious larger cosmetics and the connection points being on the amplifiers for your inputs and outputs on there too. Now, they do utilize Tune software to go in and simplify those complex setups. And when we take a look at this guy, on the front edge of the MVI, you will see all of your innies and outies. Again, different than VXI, where you have your plugs that go ahead and go in for your ins and outs on it. Again, keeping all of these on one side really makes your installation much easier in those marine applications where you have to go ahead and put those drip loops in, or you should be going ahead and putting those drip loops in. All of the analog RCA inputs and outputs are panel mounted, just for integrity and simplifying the wiring on there. The inputs can accept up to 16 volts AC. The MV products, which are your mono subwoofer amplifiers, they can actually accept up to 8 volts of AC input on there too. So keep that in mind. You have a lot of pre-outs to go in and out. A lot of the amplifiers, you can take all 4 zones and go into one amplifier, and then translate that through the amplifier to some zones from that amplifier, and then go out from the pre-outs to other zone controlled amplifiers in the system. So very, very flexible. The signal routing is very easy when we go ahead and take a look at the Tune software. But before we do that, I wanted to actually get into the accessories. And with 2 main accessories that are out there are the MDRC50, and it's really, really classy looking preset selector, and allows you to toggle through any of the up to 6 presets that you go ahead and set up on the MVI amplifier or multiple amplifiers. And the MVI hub allows you to connect to those multiple amplifiers into one central location to form a network that you can go ahead and control your presets from that MDRC50. Makes it nice and easy to control all of those presets on all of those different amplifiers. It also gives you a single connection point for go ahead and doing any of your adjustments with the Tune software, which is really, really convenient too, rather than having to plug into each amplifier separately. So with all the cool technologies and DSP that are built into the MVI, Tune software really gives you a complete control over all of it, from signal routing, input sensitivity, full tuning, dialing in the MVI amplifiers for your specific installation. Tune is a free download. So if you're on here, definitely take a look and download it. You can download it for free on your Mac or PC. And take a test drive of it. There are mobile versions for tablets that are available out there that will look very similar. There is an express version. It's the most simplistic version, and that can be downloaded for your mobile devices on there too. And this really helps go in and set up all of the different DSP options that are available on these MVI amplifiers. Here we're showing your signal router panel. This gives us all our
screen, huh?
And it is with high contrast screen, so if you're out there in the sunlight, you don't have to worry about it blurring out. If you're not out there and it's ultra bright, then you can go back to the regular Tune screen that is the black that you normally, or dark gray that you normally see on there too. But we do have the high contrast on there. So this we're showing, like I said, the router panel on there. When you go ahead and set things up, make sure that you're going ahead and naming all of your inputs and naming all of your outputs. And then you just kind of connect the lines together, and it makes it very, very simple. Those blue lines are your signal being routed through the amplifier. And you can see we've routed these ones a couple different ways. Some channels are direct to one zone, and some channels have a couple zones that they are actually connected to it on there too. So very, very flexible, and this really helps mediate a lot of Y adapters and a lot of wiring that may be needed to go ahead and create this type of scenario. So the DSP in that marine environment really, really helps simplify all of that stuff, and having all of those innies and outies on the MVI is extremely, extremely helpful.
Kevin, let me jump in real quick. You made a comment, almost in passing, but it's really vital, especially when you start doing some of the more elaborate marine audio systems. Label your innies and outies. It is so easy to get confused of where your signal routing is outside the amplifier, no less once you're inside the Tune software. We feel that once it's done this way, you can simply follow the lines very easily. But if you don't label them, where you just have the input 1, 2, 3, 4, output A, B, C, D, your mind will go nuts trying to figure out which one's coming from where, especially when you're using some of those pass-throughs where you have like a subwoofer come into your main amplifier, then it literally is passed right back out. If you don't label it, it's very difficult to find where that signal originally came from. Take the time, label it, and then head out. The other thing you could do to help in this is plan your system on paper. Remember that stuff we used to write on, right? Plan it on paper and go into simulation mode and configure the innies and outies before you even have the vessel anywhere near you. So you could do all of that ahead of time and then load those files onto the amp setter on the boat and then proceed to do your settings. But then your routing is all done. You've taken the time in a nice comfortable location where you're seated at a desk or something, and you go through and you label all of that, then get into the vessel and go from there. Much easier that way. Believe me, it's much easier.
I thought you enjoyed setting all of this stuff up out in the sun in July in South Florida.
Although I will tell you, when we were developing the high contrast mode, which is why I made the comment, that was a lot of hard work. You know, when we developed the new version of the color scheme, I had to sit outside with my computer and just play with the software while I sat outside doing nothing else. That was kind of nice. But being like underneath inside like the toilet area of the boat, the head area of the boat, trying to like figure out the routing and all that, that's a pain in the neck. It's not something I enjoy doing at all. So
all righty. So I'm going to just jump in and show just showing these real quick and giving you guys kind of just a quick run through on the software and the amplifiers, because there may be another training coming down the line that is going to be specifically on MVI. So we're not going to get super in depth here, but if you have questions, we can go ahead and dig in afterwards here. Here's our tune panel where you have your EQs, all of your filters, delays, output level trim. MVI and tune really make the process easy when you're setting up your input sensitivities with clipping indicators. There's clipping indicators on the output side of them also, so you can really see what's going on without needing to drag a ton of tools out to the vessel. Makes it nice and easy with you there. Individual channel mutes, like I said, the parametric EQ, everything is just a really nice, easy click away. If you aren't familiar with all of these features, the great thing is you don't have to use every single one of them. Go ahead and use what you know how to do. And then as you learn and figure things out, then you can always go in and make adjustments down the line to the vessel too. So use what you know. You don't have to use everything, but we try to give you everything that you would probably want on a vessel to go through and make that vessel sound amazing. And man, the boats I've heard utilizing MVI, man, just amazing experiences with them. And even just having presets on them. Like I see one of the biggest complaints about some of the audio systems in boats out there, specifically on wake boats, is the tower speakers. How do you turn them down? How do I get these to turn off easily? I'm not super familiar with all of these volume controls and all of that. Well, you can make a preset on the MVI that just shuts those wake tower speakers off, and then you don't have to worry about it. They just have a click of the button and they are shut off. So some really cool things that you can do with them. They have up to 6 presets that you can go ahead and make live and utilize on there and click through. So a lot of fluctuation and that you can go ahead and do with these amplifiers.
Final comment on tune before we wrap it up here. On the boat is not the time to learn the software. And I'm going to harp on the simulation mode again. You don't need amplifiers. You can download this right now onto your computer or your tablet and start playing around with all these settings so you can learn how the software works, so that when you are on the boat and you are starting to tune it, you're already familiar at least with the way the software functions. It's like learning a new language and then jumping in and trying to have a full-on conversation before you know any real vocabulary. Go through and learn the language of the software, learn how to put sentences together, route the signal, and things like that. Then when you're on the boat, then it's just a matter of making sense of all of that and setting the filters the right way. And, you know, Kevin made a really great point. Just because it has a feature doesn't mean you have to use that feature. Use what you know and then grow from there. You know, the boat's not going anywhere unless you do something really stupid. But you know, just get it set up to sound really, really good, and then you could explore some of the other features and benefits that are kind of inside that software. So that's my last thing on the software, unless some questions come up.
Yeah, I mean, we as a group cannot stress to just download it. It's free. It's not going to do anything to not download it. Just download it, take it for a test drive. It's fairly intuitive. As you highlight over the router panel, you'll see lines will start to form, and then you'll see boxes highlight where you can click and stuff like that. So it'll get you used to going through. And again, just make sure you're labeling your innies and outies. And you will be good to go there. But take some time. It's not going to take a ton of room on your computer or anything like that. Download it, take it for a test drive, enjoy it. It's free, and check it out. All righty, off the soapbox, right?
Exactly.
So what is the right amplifier for you? Well, do you need the ultimate in flexibility? If you do, if you have larger zones and you need that flexibility to route audio to those zones and have all of that different control, then an MVI may be the best amplifier for you. You may be able to get away with an M series because they have kind of the same channel configurations between the two lines. But you may not want to use a bunch of Y adapters to get things taken care of. You may want to go ahead and just use that MVI to run your signal and just make it a lot easier for you. If you need presets, MVI is where it's at. If you want to have those to where you can shut things off or adjust a different tune from when you're cruising down the river or cruising down the lake or out on the open water than you are at the dock having a party, then you need to have those presets on there, and that would get you into those MVIs. Do you need more than 4 channels of output? If you do, M series and MVI is where you're at. Does your amplifier need to be IPX7 certified? Then you would use your MX amplifier. Make sure that you put the back cover on it, though, so that way it keeps that certification on there. And then, do you need more power? When we take a look at the MHD, we can't stress how much that thing does give you a ton of clean power. But again, you need to make sure you're able to feed the beast, as we say, and supply the power to the amplifiers. But if you can supply the beast or feed the beast there, man, they are great amplifiers for those marine environments too. So really, when we take a look at any of these amplifiers, they're really application based, and you'll notice that through a lot of the products that we have. And again, these aren't any different. Take a look at what your application is going to be and what you want and what your goals and expectations are, and then figure out what line of amplifiers in the JL Audio lineup is going to be correct for your situation.
And if you're still not sure, reach out to tech support.
And if you're still not sure,
Exactly, right?
reach out to tech support. We have the best tech support in the business by far. If you want to go on the support link on jlaudio.com is the best way to go ahead and do it. You can email technical@jlaudio.com. Or you can call in and go through the prompts. But again, going through the help center, the help icon is the best way to do that. They're in there, they're doing emails, they're doing a lot of that stuff while they're on phone calls. So you will get a quick response on there. And again, 3 of the best guys in the business by far, and 3 of the smartest dudes I know. So the training team, if you want to contact us, if you have any ideas on stuff that you'd like us to do trainings on, or different formats or anything like that, time-wise, any of that good stuff, days of the week, feel free to email us at training@jlaudio.com. If you just want to comment on how good looking my beard is today, feel free to just email in to the training team. And again, that's not for tech support. Any type of training needs, that is your contact for them. So I'm going to exit out, and we'll see if we have any questions here.
Awesome, Kevin. Thanks. It was a really good job. You put a lot of great information in, and a pretty compact presentation, I might add.
I try to keep it as compact as possible there.
So as far as questions in the chat, Rob actually was all over that. He answered most of those questions, and he brought some of them in. There's a couple questions on Tune Software towards the end there that he's put some references, some Help Center article links in there to teach some people about that. So let's wait around a little bit, see if anything else comes up. But, it's funny, Kevin, when you talk about marine stuff, I always think ocean, because it's right there, right?
And I always think lake or river.
You're lake and river. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess there's a lot of lakes and rivers too. But in central Florida and towards the northern part of Florida, there's literally the Land O'Lakes, and that's because of all the lakes that are up there. And obviously, marine audio is huge on lakes, and there's probably more lake boats than there are ocean boats. So I'm a little biased down here.
It's always good to have those different perspectives, though, too. And it's interesting.
Without a doubt, yeah.
The vessels that you see are way different than the vessels I see, and they're way different than the vessels Rob sees, too, right? Like, if you're on the West Coast, you're a different type of boating person than you are if you're a Miami guy, right?
We don't have center console fishing boats here in California like they do in Florida, despite them both being in the ocean.
We have gigantic yachts and center console fishing boats.
Right. Our center console boats are all police boats. That's if you're a police officer, you see a center console boat, you know it's a police officer.
So, interesting today. We've had people ending their days with us in the Netherlands, Turkey, and Kenneth starting his day with us in Australia. How cool is that?
That is awesome. So that's really funny, actually. I was cleaning up my office now that I'm coming in again, and I have Kenneth's card from when he was here visiting with us. It's sitting right in front. So, Kenny, I remember you, man. I got you covered. Anyway.
Oh,
so that was a lot of really good content, really, Kevin. There's a lot to cover with Marine Amplifiers. I like the conversation about the tech stuff that we have in there. But honestly, my favorite part about what you shared is all the different application ideas. And you really, I love the MVI product line. I know it's not for everybody, but there's the incredible amount of flexibility that you focused on with all the different inputs and output capabilities. And it could be overwhelming. But spend some time and check those things out, because you could do so many different things. And Rob already, I think it was Rob, alluded to the system design training that we'll be doing in the not too distant future. We're using a lot of these amplifiers, and we're going to focus in on how the NVI can be a big part of that. And that's one of my favorite parts about it. Yeah, of course, the DSP is really cool too, but those innies and outies, man, that's the flexible part right there.
Yeah, we definitely have some cool trainings coming up for you guys. I think next week we're going to do our M6 and M3 speaker family. And then we're going to do a standalone session on MVI only, because there's a lot of interesting things with MVI that really differentiate it from the rest of the amps. And it's not just that you have the DSP on board, but it's all of those extra inputs and outputs and how you can put them to use. We'll get more in depth into the tune software, and then we'll take all of these product trainings and put them to applicational use with marine system design. And then we have a session that's going to end our marine, I guess we'll be in probably April by then, but marine March and April, with how to actually tune a vessel using MVI amplifiers. So we're going to get all the product stuff out of the way. We'll get more in depth into MVI. We'll talk about system design. And then if you are doing MVI, how to really then take it to that next level by using that DSP chip and really getting your different zones all dialed into whatever scenario it may be for.
Perfect. That'll be a fun one for sure. I think Glenn likes the MVIs. I'm not sure what cool AF means, but I think that's good.
I'll explain it to you afterward.
Oh, I know what it is. So, I think I have an open invitation to go fishing up there with Glenn, and I think I might be able to take advantage of that in the not too distant future. Remember, I got my son that's up in Tallahassee, so. What else we got coming in the chat here? Curtis is saying something about cops. I don't know. I hope that doesn't mean you're overly familiar with cops on the water. Comment about your beard, Kevin. You got one.
Thanks, Glenn.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I think on that happy note right there, Kevin's beard is always a good place to end it. So, Kevin, again, thanks for a fantastic presentation. Rob is our producer. You did a fantastic job. Thank you, everyone, for the comments and interaction in the chat. We always do appreciate that. They've already given you the rundown of how to get in touch with us. So until next time, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.